first camp killer comes off as a bad Friday the 13th ripped off, mixed with some elements of the Elm Street later movies with the creepiness factor of that. Before 20 minutes in, the couple who goes off to do you knows what gets you know what. After that pops off, people start dying left and right in a accelerated fashion until it's down to just the sole survivor, and the standard sheriff stereotype character comes in to save her. After she's safely away in the sheriff's office, they go through some cringy motions, parents, and crap, until it comes down to the sole survivor being led into the sleazy sanctuary of the deputy. It's not quite good, but it's from after that the show really makes it out. Managed to exploit the common tropes of the horror movie scene and for a few laughs later on in the greater narrative of the overall story, not wanting to spoil the story any over those few plot picks, but let's just say, give me a Kevin Smith vibe after all the death and slashing in pop culture lingo. If you're not familiar with the Kevin Smith reference, it's basically just two dudes shooting the shit with each other, throwing in some pop culture references to sort of with a comical tint. For me, it was quite amusing, but for those not familiar with the classic slasher movies, subtlety might be lost on them, even though I'm pretty sure they'll get a few laughs out of them. This is sort of an 80 movie slasher film throwing the book out on the traditional narrative while still adhering to it. It's got the tropes, it got the killers, it's got the villains, it got the sole survivor girl, and it's got some surprises. They're not always well done, but as for the quality of the film, the soundtrack and sound effects are par for the course of this type of thing. The director's choices make you want to hate some scenes, or else maybe the cameraman was just drunk at the bar they shot at. The acting is all over the place. It ranges from very believable to cringeless casting calls. And the effects, don't get me started on the effects. They are so cheesy, they're right out of Adobe's After Effects. But it fits in fine with the greater overall cheesiness of the storyline. Why Night Watchmen seems to be the fever dream of a Insane Clown Posse fan. It seems quite competently done, standing heads and shoulders above most indie films. The acting also seems quite high, especially given that they're toting around a former Baltimore baseball player in the cast. Unfortunately, the sound mixing seems to be off. Whispering dialogue runs into the equivalent of audio jump scares. It could be due to a coding issue by Amazon, but most likely these hiccups and annoyances come from some asshole creatively trying to make the film more unpleasant to watch. The script seems to have been written by a pothead who has read or watched Richard Mathewson's I Am Legend one too many times. This thing's packed with more potty humor than an elementary school and more blood than the Red Cross. Overall, it has a good chemistry between the cast and doesn't pigeonhole any of the main characters too much, that is. Yeah, they got a good array of stereotype characters but from what I saw, they mainly do that to play up the laugh. They have all the standard tropes of the typical zombie/vampire movie, and yet again, they use those to play up the movie for mainly laughs. It's got gore, gags, guns, and guts. It's a good satire of the horror movie scene. Sort of in the veins of Shaun of the Dead and Attack the Block, and to a certain extent, Zombieland. The reason I bring up these two movies together, Baltimore made comedy horror movies together, is because I'm interested in the these two different approaches that this film took. One, obviously, Camp Killer had a smaller budget and made the best of what they had to work with it and weave quite an enjoyable story throughout it. And if you could get through the first cliche, cringy half hour of the film, it turned into quite a tedious movie, if you know what I mean. If I had to fault it for anything, it would be that they showed too much love to the evil side of the equation, while underdeveloping the rest of the cast of characters, which most of them were expendable by them being undeveloped and unbalanced sort of made the equation all topsy-turvy. I can't really fault them for it. That's the way these things go. And it even made sense in the greater scheme of things. For the higher funded The Night Watchmen, I highly enjoyed it, but in the back of my mind, I felt that they took all the standard horror movie jokes and added a few, put that on a checklist and went down checking them all off, and then built a script around that. There were very few surprises, and those that did surprise me seemed rather pre-planned in my opinion. From what I know of comedy, timing is everything, and this movie hit each of those beats perfectly. What I think is all it came down to was intent. What was the filmmaker trying to achieve with each one of these films? I don't want to presume to talk for anyone besides myself, but this is how it came off to me. The Night Watchmen's production team wanted to make an action-packed horror comedy that poked fun of the genre, but at the same time respected it deeply. If that was their aim, I would say they did a damn good job at that. Camp Killer, I have no freaking clue. So I'll just have to paint you a picture of how I think this film was conceived. Scene, two dudes sitting at a bar. Dude one takes a drink. Why do you think these killers in those movies do it? Dude two, what? Where did that come from? I don't even know. Maybe they just really like killing. Dude one, maybe. But wouldn't that get boring after a while? Dude two, I guess. Dude one, hey barkeep, what do you think? 2 beers get set out down in front of them. Dude two, thank you, Joe. Cracks the beer and drinks. Dude one, yeah. The best thoughts come with a drink. Dude two, that gives me an idea. Dude one, what? Dude two, why don't we create a film where the killer has a reason to kill? A definitive reason, so to speak. Dude one, I guess. When do we start? Dude two, right after this beer. Finishes the beer. So where should we start? Well, that's all for me today. Until next review or whatever I do, have a good day or night or whenever you're watching this. Take care.